So this is going to be a walkthrough of the course syllabus. So this should be something like what you guys will see for your first time coming to Schoology. Um, so to get to the syllabus, you're going to click first 9 weeks, and you're not going to be able to see all of these things right away because I'm going to try to keep it limited to just what you need for that day. Click syllabus, and then you'll see all of these different parts here. The first thing that we're going to look at is the syllabus itself. So click this, and it will open the syllabus for you. And we're just going to take a quick look at this together, okay? Once it loads, of course. Okay, so the information that you're going to need to know, probably the most important thing here for you is going to be my email address. This is going to be how you reach out to me in the most effective way. I check my email usually between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. So if you have any questions, that's going to be the easiest way for you to get a hold of me. My other email address is down here at the bottom. So this one's my school one. This one's my personal one. You can email one or the other or both, and you'll be able to reach me there. I'm harder to get a hold of via telephone, but if you send me an email and ask for a phone call, I'll do the best that I can to get a hold of you as soon as possible. Okay, so the syllabus itself, at the top here, we have the course description. So basically, this course is going to be American literature. And so we're going to be reading a variety of texts by American authors. The first couple ones that we're going to read are Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, which I think you guys will really like, and The Crucible, which is a play by Arthur Miller. And I think you guys will like that one too. We're going to do a couple of different regular activities here. So we're going to be doing IXL, and we're going to be doing articles of the week. And those things are going to happen every week as soon as we can get them all set up and ready to go. And you're going to have a daily bell ringer that you have to complete. And for our virtual folks, that bell ringer is going to be your attendance. Okay, so you need to log in on the day that that bell ringer is posted and complete that to get credit for your attendance. As far as the materials go, we're going to be fully paperless this year as much as possible because of COVID. So the only things that you really need for class are you need a fully charged Chromebook issued by the school, and you need to know all of your login information. So please don't come to class not knowing your logins, and please don't come to class without your Chromebook charged because you likely won't be able to participate in what we're doing that day. For text and resources, ordinarily in a normal year, we'd have a textbook, but this year we're not going to. So all of your stories and texts and audiobooks and the things that we're reading and watching and listening will be provided to you on Schoology online. For the classroom rules, if you are here in person, you need to attend to all of your personal matters before entering the classroom. That means going to the bathroom. That means making sure that your Chromebook is charged. Before you come in, you need to be prepared to sit down and learn. When you come in the room, you need to sit down, open your Chromebook, navigate to the bell ringer, and begin it without prompting from me. Okay, so that's my expectation, is that when you come in, you'll know what you need to be doing, and you'll sit down and you'll start doing the bell ringer before class formally begins. Okay, and the bell ringer is super easy. Excuse me. The bell ringer is super easy. It's just a sentence with a word that'll be highlighted, and you have to try to match the definition to the word the way that it's used in the sentence. So it won't take you long. You need to demonstrate respect for your classmates during all interactions, whether or not they're virtual or in person. and you need to respect the personal belongings and space of your classmates and your instructor. So if you are in person, uh, basically what that means is there will be sections in the room that are for me. So specifically behind my desk. Don't be behind my desk and don't be in my seat, and don't touch my computer or my smart panel in the front of the room, or the phone. Basic common sense stuff. You guys know what you should and should not be touching. Um, your electronic devices are only allowed when prompted by me. So I expect that you'll have your Chromebook out and I expect that you'll get the bell ringer started. But apart from that, I don't want to see any other use of electronic devices unless I explicitly ask for them. Okay. Um, and then finally, here, this last section that's up here at the top that you guys can see. Under no circumstances am I going to allow any student um, to express discriminatory viewpoints or harass any other students. And I'm a real big stickler for those kind of things. We're going to be talking about topics that may be sensitive. We're going to be talking about things like McCarthyism and the Salem witch trials and poverty, and things that people might find sensitive. And so we're just going to be aware of that as we enter into these discussions. And we're going to be respectful of the viewpoints of others. I expect debates, but I don't expect that people will name call or angrily respond to one another. Okay, so we're here to talk about literature and we're here to talk about ideas. We are not here to attack one another or the views of other people in the room. Okay. As far as behavior management goes, you guys know how to behave in a classroom. Okay. I know that it's been a long time, maybe since you've been in a classroom, but you've got a lot of practice at this stuff. Okay. So you guys know the consequence ladder. Problem behavior will first be identified by me and discussed with the student, either publicly or privately. So if you guys are talking in class, I might just ask you to be quiet. Easy as that, right? Um, but at that point, when I ask you to do something, it's going to be up to you whether or not to escalate that, right? So if you continue the behavior, then it's going to escalate. And what happens when those things escalate is I'm going to call home and talk to your parents. And if it is something that can't be solved through discussion or compromise, then I'll bring administration in with a discipline referral. I don't have to write very many of those ordinarily. Normally my students are respectful, and I only write a couple referrals each year, and those will be for things that violate some of those rules that I don't have any tolerance for, which are up here. Okay. So, I don't expect that I'll have any issues with any of you guys. If you are an in-person student, you're going to be given 6 hall passes per 9-week term, and those will be used on the Morgan County Schools app, which you guys will have either on your phone or on Google Classroom. Okay. And if you don't use any hall passes at all during the 9 weeks, then, just for the in-person folks, I'll give you 10 points of extra credit, and an article of the week pass. So you'll get one free article of the week on me that you won't have to complete and you'll be excused from. Okay. As far as leaving the room goes, you young ladies and gentlemen are old enough to know the difference between a want and a need, right? So if you have an emergency, of course you can leave. I don't want you guys to, be uncomfortable in my room, because when you're uncomfortable, you can't learn, right? So if you have to throw up, just get up and go, and we can find out what happened later, okay? The one thing that I do ask is in a non-emergency situation, so non-emergencies, you do not ask to leave the room while I am speaking. Okay, so I want you to kind of put yourself in my shoes a little bit. If you're in the front of the room talking and giving directions, you wouldn't want to be interrupted, and neither do I, right? So I just ask you to hold any of those requests until I am done speaking and giving the directions for the day's work. And then raise your hand, and we can discuss what you need and why you need to leave the room. Okay. If you need to leave the room, don't do it while I'm talking. Wait until there's independent work time where you're working on your own. There's not going to be much small group work because of COVID, so I'm expected to keep you guys apart. So it's just going to be independent work. Okay. If you ask to leave while teaching is happening, it's going to cause a destruction, or not a destruction, but a disruption. Okay. And when you exit or enter the room, don't slam the door. Don't, if at all possible, walk in front of me while I'm teaching. Just quietly make your way to your desk. Right. This is the basics. You guys know and understand how to do this. For the grading practices, we operate on a 10-point scale. So the grades and how they laid out are here. And again, this should be a review from last year. Okay, culture points. Culture points is an extra assignment that I offer. You can do it once per 9 weeks. And what it requires you to do is attend or participate in some kind of cultural event. Okay, so because of coronavirus, you guys have a lot of opportunities to do this now. There are virtual concerts, there are virtual museum tours, there are actual events that you can still go to. So a lot of places are having concerts outside so that people can socially distance. Those would be acceptable. So you guys can feel free to go ahead and do those culture points. You have to ask me before you do that. So just go ahead and send me a message on Schoology or to my email, and we will discuss the event that you're doing and do culture points. And I have a form for that too that you'll have to fill out, and I will post that to Classroom or email that to you after you ask me to complete the assignment. It's worth a lot of points. It's worth 50 points. And in my class, 50 points is a lot. So most of my assignments will be between 5 and 10 points. So if you need your grade brought up, culture points is how you do it. Okay, I'm not going to offer any other formal extra credit assignments throughout the course of the year. Okay, next up is Schoology. So guys, I know that Schoology is a new tool, but it takes the place of a lot of things. So it kind of merges together live grades in Google Classroom. You will be expected to monitor Schoology regularly, if not every day, looking for my assignments and my announcements. Okay. And, of course, I'll be available to help you if anything is unclear, any of my expectations are unclear. For work presentation, you're going to be expected to type your assignments and submit them in standard fonts. Okay. Things that are easy to read. So your options are Arial and Times New Roman, unless I explicitly say otherwise. Okay. And that need to be in black ink, unless, the directions explicitly say otherwise. Unless I say otherwise, all of your answers also need to be in complete sentences. I will mark your answers wrong, regardless of whether or not they're correct, if they are not in complete, grammatically correct, properly spelled sentences. Okay, grammar always counts in here. So just have an eye on that. And really, there's no excuse for poor grammar with the kind of tools that you guys are going to be using this year. Google's autocompletes and spelling checks and grammar checks are wonderful. So just take advantage of the resources that you're given. Okay. Because the way this course is going to be taught this year is going to be a lot different than perhaps you're used to, it's going to be up to you largely to read, understand, and implement the directions that are in those documents. Okay, you are not going to have me over your shoulder to spoon feed the directions to you. Okay, I'm going to be taking the time to write the instructions at the top of each of your documents. And in many cases, I'm going to be recording a video just like this one to help kind of walk you through the assignments in a step by step way. So the information is going to be there that's available to you, and you're going to have to read and understand and completely follow the directions on your own. And I know it's going to be difficult for some of you. And if you have questions, you'll have to send them to me through any of these various different ways of communication. Um, but I'm going to do the best that I can to write the directions out and provide you with video instruction of how to do the assignments. What I need from you in exchange for that is I need you to actually pay attention to the directions and read them. Okay. And we're all in this together right now. Okay. Um, and finally here, long form written assignments, they need to be in MLA format. Okay, and we'll go over exactly what that means, but the short version of it is that you have a standard heading that you have to use. In most cases, I'll provide you with a template where you just have to fill in the blanks for that standard format. They need to be in Times New Roman, size 12 font. Okay, always Times New Roman, size 12 font, black. Okay, classwork and homework. My classwork assignments are usually between 5 and 50 points. Um, Many of the larger projects that I would normally do, we're not going to be able to do this year. So what you're going to notice is that there's going to be a lot of small grades between 3 points, 5 points, and 10 points. Um, any larger presentations or videos that I ask you to make or essays that I ask you to write can be worth between 50 and 300 points. Okay. And I'm going to make it very, very clear which ones are worth which amount of points. But the regular assignments that we're going to have are the article of the week and the daily warm up and some vocab and spelling tests on the words that you'll be doing in the bell ringer. As far as late work goes, basically, if you are sick or incapacitated for any reason and are unable to complete your work, remote or otherwise, the official policy is that you have 1 day for each day that you are out to make up that work. So what that's going to end up looking like in practice is if you're in person, then I'm going to note that you're absent, right? I'll be able to see that. If you're a virtual student, you're going to have to send me some kind of message that says like, hey Dugan, I'm throwing my guts up and I can't even sit up straight in bed to use the computer. Okay. So, send me a message. I'll work with you. But the main kind of idea here is that you're going to have to communicate with me more so than you've ever done any other year. You're going to have to hop on email and you're going to be responsible for that. Okay. So just, if I don't know that there's a problem, then I can't help you address it. So you're going to have to talk to me. Okay. So just make sure that you're communicating, especially if you're ill or there's anything that you can't do in a given time. I'm pretty lenient with extensions and things, but again, you have to ask, and you have to ask that before the due date. Okay. Tests and quizzes, those will be clearly marked. There are categories in my grade book. Quizzes will be marked in the quiz category. Tests, which are worth more, will be marked in the exams category. You are responsible for making up those tests and again communicating with me if there's something that is stopping you from finishing a test. Okay. You must make up tests promptly. Okay. You'll be responsible for making arrangements for any and all makeup testing. That's on you. Okay. So you are responsible for making those arrangements. Once I put a 0 in the grade book for something, it stays a 0. Okay, if it's missing, I'll put it in as missing. But once I put it down as a 0, it stays a 0. Okay, so again, if you have any questions about that at all, you need to communicate with me. A word on academic dishonesty or plagiarism. So I suspect that moving us online is going to cause plagiarism to be more of a problem. So here's how plagiarism works in an English class. Okay, you go on Wikipedia or you Google the question or the assignment prompt, and then you copy and paste sections of whatever answers you find, and you put them in the document. Okay, I'm going to be reading an awful lot of your writing, and that provides me with an opportunity to get to know you, right? And it also provides me with an opportunity to know how you write. So if all of a sudden you are writing, you go from writing at the level of an 11th grader to writing at the level of a, senior undergraduate student at college, I'm going to know, right? I'm going to be looking at your vocabulary. And if there's words that I don't think that you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that section of your writing and I'm going to put it into Google and I'm going to look for matches. And there's also a tool in Google Classroom, that allows me to do that. And it will kick back a plagiarism score, and it'll even highlight all of the things that it found that were similar between what you wrote and something online. Okay, so for the writing assignments, you're not going to be able to get away with cheating. Okay, or at least it's going to be very difficult for you, right? So if I catch you cheating, usually what I'll do is first I'll open up a conversation about it. I'll say, hey, did you notice all this? And it might be that you just, were looking at the article and you put it in the document so that you could have something to kind of base your own writing on or something like that. I'll ask you about it first. But if you don't have a satisfactory answer, the punishment for wholesale plagiarism, taking somebody else's ideas and representing them as your own, is that I'll give you a discipline referral for the academic dishonesty. I will call or email your parent, and I'll give you a 0 for the assignment that you won't be allowed to make up. Okay. And the assignments where you have long form writing that you might be tempted to plagiarize are going to be weighted really heavily in the course. So if you have to take a 0 for those, it could sink your grade for the entire 9 weeks. And I don't want that. And you don't want that. And your parents don't want that. So basically, you learn by doing. And if you don't do, because you're copying the answers from somebody, then you won't learn. And your grade is a measure of whether or not you understand the things that I'm asking you to understand in the course. And if you don't, because you've copied, then you deserve to have a 0 because you don't understand what the assignment is and you haven't learned. And so I need to know that, and you need to know that, and your parents need to know that. Okay. I don't like giving 0s. So the moral of the story here is if I ask you to do something, it's because I think it's worthwhile, and it's because I want you to learn the content. So take the opportunity to learn. You have access to an expert in American literature to learn the writing skills and things that you need to be successful in life. And, I expect you to be a participant in the course. And that means attempting the content without copy and pasting it from the internet. Okay. If you have any questions about whether or not something is plagiarism, I know it gets kind of fuzzy. Please just ask, and I'll clarify it for you. It won't be a problem. Okay. And then finally, the communication section. I'm open and available. I love working with my students, and I want to interact with you. Okay. So please, if you have any questions, big or small, my email address is here and here. Okay. If you're my virtual folks, or if you're here in person, just ask me. Okay. And then my phone number through the school is here, and you should be able to reach me during that. As far as the phone goes, I ask that you call after about 2:15. That's when I'm going to have my planning period, and that's when I'll be available to answer questions for you by phone. Okay. All right, guys. So that's the syllabus. Please let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon.